Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome to our first and very special edition of Blue Table Talks for 2025. We are excited to have you on the show. We're continuing with our commemoration of International Women's Day, and in line with that, the 2025 theme is Accelerating Action for Gender Inequality in the Workplace. We apologize for our late start, but you're going to be glad you came and you're going to be glad you stayed because we have a phenomenal panel of wonderful women with such rich insights for our conversation today. They are not only accomplished professionals, but also our very own Standard Bank Blue Sheroes, women who have inspired and empowered others through their journeys. Thank you for taking time out of your evening to join us online, on YouTube, on X, on Facebook. And we'd really like to encourage you to share your thoughts with us as we go along throughout this evening, to share how you have seen action accelerated in your workplace and how you would like to see continued acceleration of closing the gender gap in our workplaces. I'm your host, Standard Bank Eswatini's Head of Data Analytics, Linda Zwane. And as mentioned earlier, I am joined by four dynamic women, which I will hand over to shortly to introduce themselves and also to just tell us about what they do before we kickstart our conversation today. May I start on my immediate left? The warmest welcome to you, Mvulane. Please introduce yourself to our audience today and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Thank you very much, Linda, and a warm welcome to our viewers. I am Stuki Mota, Patricia Nongeba, but I am popularly known as Stuki, if I were to say AKA Stuki. That's my pet name, but it has become a brand name. I am now a politician, having been appointed by His Majesty the King to the House of Senate, a lawyer by profession, specializing in labor law, because I've spent my entire life doing labor law. First, I started as a criminal lawyer, but I saw a gap in labor law, so I decided to venture into labor law. I am a mother and an aunt, you name it.
It's wonderful to have you, Mvulane. Thank you for that. You've allowed me to call you Kosi. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey.
Thank you very much, Linda, and good evening to the viewers. My name is Makhosazana Dlamini. I'm also AKA Kosi. Kosi, not my official name, but everyone calls me Kosi, so I love to call me Kosi. I work for Baylor College of Medicine, Children's Foundation, Eswatini, and we call it in short Baylor Foundation Eswatini. And most of you know it as Baylor Clinic, but it's the same. I am the executive director there. I'm a clinician and nurse by profession, but I've ventured into administration and management, hence my position as the executive director at Baylor.
Thank you so much. Lovely to have you. Ms. Bongegile, please would you introduce us to you and what you do?
Thank you very much, and good evening to everyone watching online. My name is Bongegile Matsenjwa. I am a chemical engineer by profession. I am also an author, and I am currently working in the oil and gas industry in Eswatini, which is quite an exciting field. I am also the co-founder as well as managing director for Women in Engineering Eswatini, an organization that works to empower and raise the next generation of females in science, technology, engineering, and maths. And I am an avid person who actually enjoys jogging in my spare time.
Nice.
Keeps me fit. And I really I love being in spaces where I can share my knowledge with women who are like-minded and help to grow the country forward. Thank you.
We're happy to have you. Thank you, Bongegile. Last but certainly not least, they call you Q. Please introduce yourself to us.
Okay, thank you so much, Mangweni. Good evening, viewers at home. My name is Kagazile Dlamini, also known as Q, as Linda has said. Um, Incidentally, I'm also a lawyer by profession, right? But I then diverted to human capital practice because I had a passion for people generally. So I'm currently the people and culture business partner at Standard Bank. That's where I am right now. Otherwise, socially, I'm a mother of 3 beautiful children. I also love keeping fit. So sometimes I become a gym rat when I am in that at that era. So, but generally, I think that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you so much, Q. So, 2 lawyers, some ladies in STEM, nurses, engineers, all of you feeding into people around you in various ways, political and other. I think we're going to have a really rich conversation this evening. I told you you'll be happy you stayed. I only hope that we have enough time. So, ladies, the first question to all of you. We're gathered here today to speak about empowering women, uplifting women, women who, have celebrating women who have broken barriers. I asked ChatGPT, what is on the minds of women globally when it comes to workplace inequality? But before I share what ChatGPT said, I'd like to hear from you as women in the Eswatini workforce and in the Eswatini community. What is, in your experience, what are some of the most common challenges women are facing at work? And how do these hurdles affect things like mentorship from women to women, productivity, career growth? Just from your perspective, how have you seen that play out in your careers and the careers around you? Let's start with Q.
Okay, thank you, Mangweni. From what I've observed or what I've encountered as a woman, I think the first hurdle that we encounter as women is patriarchy and socialization. We have been raised as women we were taught that our place is in the kitchen. We always are secondary citizens. It's like someone else need to be above us, and then we will then be beneath them. So that's how we were raised. So as we grow up, that is also manifesting or showing up in the way we present ourselves in the workplaces. When there are opportunities for growth or in leadership, we always associate that with our male counterparts, that those are the people who are deserving of that. So for me, that's one thing that is standing as a hurdle. But as women, as emerging women, like women my age, we are at an era where we're starting to believe that we also deserve a seat in the table because of the interventions that have happened over time in terms of empowering women generally, and actually telling them that you do have a seat at the table so long as you position yourself and you are skilled to do that. You can actually do what your male counterparts are doing. I have a list. I can go on and on, but that's one thing that's standing out for me. And the other one is the issue of the underrepresentation in leadership position because of what I've just said. So how that affects women growing up who aspire to be leaders is the fact that we don't have women to look up to or to mentor us in the areas that we want to grow, because it's dominated probably by males, so to speak. I mean, one of the reasons why I diverted from law is because it was just a male-dominated industry, and it was dog-eat-dogs kind of an environment. So if you're a woman, principled woman for that matter, and God-fearing, all that, there was that cloud nje that said, you don't belong here, one or the other. So that's one aspect of it, but there were also other personal. So at that point, there was the Lindiwe Kumalo Matez and a few others. I think there were 1 or 2 female lawyers who were making it. And I thought, probably this is not the area for me to thrive. I need a place where I can go and be impactful and thrive. Hence so for me, that's the other challenge that we are facing, the absence of women leaders that can mentor the upcoming people in any field.
And the way you've put it is so critical and insightful, Q. Thank you for that, because we are in a problem that's creating a problem. You know, without role models, we don't create more role models for the future. So you said so much, but we'll come back to a lot of that. Mbongegile, what's your take?
Firstly, I just want to say that being a woman is a very beautiful gift.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely.
Because I have seen so many women being part of difficult situations in the workplace, but still being able to thrive and succeed even in that midst of challenges. So I truly believe in the power that lies within women all over the world. However, unfortunately, not a lot of people actually get to appreciate that. And so hence why we have so many challenges within the workplace. And for me, the most common ones that I've seen, of course, being in a male-dominated industry, you find that you, as a female, you work with men most of the time. Either they are your boss or they are your colleagues or the people that you report to you. And that comes with a lot of responsibilities. Firstly is gender stereotypes, which Q touched briefly on, where people don't actually appreciate or recognize that you as a woman can also be a leader. You actually deserve a seat at the table, not because you're a female, but because you have the brains and the skills. So I think that's one of the key challenges. And then secondly, just speaking to the STEM industry, we still have a lot of work environments that do not accommodate women. I'll make an example, for instance, in the mining industry, we still use old technologies that are not conducive for females to actually to work in. For instance, if they go underground, we find that some of those places are not suitable for females. And unfortunately, it's 2025 and you still have that. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in just that, creating a work environment that caters for both males and females. And then thirdly, what I've seen is that generally, for women to be actually recognized, they really need to exceed expectations.
Work 3 times harder.
Yeah, and that puts a lot of pressure on the woman, because a woman is a mother, is a wife. So she has to multitask and balance all these things. And then if she doesn't perform well at the workplace, she's seen as a failure. Oh, because she's a female, definitely. I mean, what was she thinking? So I think there's a lot of support that is required for females so that they can actually thrive even in the workplace. So I think some of the activities or actions that we can put in place in all organizations is firstly just to the mentorship that she briefly touched on, providing mentors for females, and men can really do a lot in that by being a mentor to these young women or even their own colleagues as well. And then secondly, what I believe is also networking. I think organization can really invest in their people by creating platforms where their own people can actually network, because then that it exposes them to potential mentors, to people that they can look up to as other women, and also just to helping them to actually share knowledge that will help in terms of career development. So in a nutshell, I believe that there's a lot of work, not just in Eswatini, but globally, that we need to put in for us to achieve gender equity in the workplace.
Very well put. And can I just thank you for starting off with the positive picture, by the way, because women are capable. I think it ties very well into what Kagazila had already shared. Kosi, what are your thoughts?
Linda, so listening to the other speakers here, I think I cannot overemphasize the fact that while women are capable, they're very smart, by the way. Women are smart species. So, and, you know, over and above that, we oftentimes look at, you know, important roles, you know, being taken by men most of the time. I think it's just also socialization, as they said, and also people's expectation, the society expecting us to look into bigger roles being taken by men. And most importantly, I'll be brief and say the elephant also in the room is usually that women lead with emotions, which is a myth because humans are emotional beings. Men also have emotions. Women have emotions. So we do not lead, through emotions. So I think most of the time when a woman makes a decision at a workplace, literally people would say she's emotional. Yet that decision has been thought through, and there were so many things that went into making that decision. So as a woman leader, I would, get that, in the workplace to say, you've made a decision, yeah, it's because they're emotional. And no. I usually say, no, it's not emotions. Did you see this and that and that? And I think generally men and other women need to be educated about gender diversity, gender equality, so that they also other women value, their existence and also come up as leaders in the future. Otherwise, we are living in a generation where women who are younger than us are even scared when they see us being, like the men saying, you are emotional, you are this and that and that. I just want to say, people are emotional. Everyone has emotions. Men equally have emotions, just like women. So we are not leading with emotions. We are making decisions for the benefit of the company and the business that we lead.
Very well said. Emotions are human, and leadership is a human experience. Enjoying this. Again, I'm worried we don't have enough time. Stuki, Senator Stuki to me, excuse me. Please share your thoughts around some of the challenges that you are seeing.
All right. Before I share my thoughts, I forgot to mention that I am also the founder of Stuki Mota Foundation, an organization that deals with albinism issues, but has now diversified to include persons with disabilities. All right. I share the same sentiments with my sisters here. But I'd like to add that I think it evolves around your upbringing at first. Because family plays a very important role in one's life. So if you have a mother that is going to tell you that, yes, you are a woman, but you can also do what men do. And yes, you are a boy, but I don't think you are different from the girl, so you can do what she has to do. So I was raised by a Xhosa woman, and she did not have a boy or a girl. We would do all chores, such that I can even change a car tire on my own. And you know that men will always take advantage of women when they bring their cars, the mechanics. But they always ask me, what are you? Are you a mechanic? Because there's little that I do not know about cars. And another thing is that, like it has been put, that women have the potential. And it is up to you if you bring your potential out and you utilize it to the best of your ability. And at the workplace, the first challenge is that you are a woman. You might have the same qualifications, do the same job, but because you're a woman, you will not be taken seriously. And people might think, like it has been said, that women are emotional. And women cannot do certain jobs. Like when we grew up, we all knew that engineers were men, doctors were men, lawyers were men. But when we ventured into into that sphere, people started saying, oh, so they can do it as well. And yeah, it evolved, and here we are now. Women that are engineers, women that are doctors, lawyers. And another thing is that men should stop looking down upon women. And what I have observed is that women do not support each other. And if women would start supporting one another or each other, then we would be in a formidable force.
Whew, so much for us to go into. And I can't help but just pull out this theme around our societies being so important, our families being so important to this conversation. And I wish we had some time just to delve into that. But maybe those of you who are joining us online, maybe you have some insights as well to share around this role of family, this role of fathers, this role of mothers, the role of siblings, and the role of maybe even the media in how we spotlight and how we share stories and how that would impact gender equity in the workplace for generations to come. Because we certainly don't have enough time to tackle it here. That's enough about challenges. We have assembled a powerhouse group of women on this platform today, and so we'd love to hear more about how you've become these powerhouses. And I'll start with you, Stuki. We'd love to hear about the impact of your work, and how do you see NGOs as a platform for driving meaningful change? You shared about the foundation. You've been otherwise involved in your personal capacity in many, many arenas. So I'd like to just hear about how you see NGOs as a platform for meaningful change. And we can't run away from the political aspect as well. Someone out there might be watching, looking to design their strong political campaign. Please give us some tips and tricks for that as well.
All right. I think NGOs are necessary so that they can keep government in check, or even assist government in some aspects, because as we know that sometimes there are challenges here and there. But with NGOs coming in, they sort of ease the burden from government. And running an NGO, especially if you do not have the necessary funding, is not easy. Because you need to knock from door to door. You send proposals. You think you've done all that they want you to do, and at the end of the day, you are rejected. So you need to be a fighter. You need to be strong-willed. You do not need to give up. Because once you give up, then your dream dies away. So NGOs are there. I'll give an example of the one that I am running. It speaks of albinism issues. And what we realized was that people do not know anything about the condition on albinism. And even people that you thought would know, we were so surprised to see or to find out that they knew nothing about this condition. Such that the first thing we did was to approach government and say, the 2017 census is around the corner. In your questionnaire, do you have a question that will ask, is there a person with albinism or a person with disability in your house? And imagine, I think the census started in 1967, and for all these years, that question was not there. And that is why government was not able to cater for persons with albinism and persons with disabilities, because they did not know their needs and they did not know the population. So with that, now we can see, even in education and health, something is being done because they now have the stats. But had there been no NGO that deals with that, they wouldn't have been able to do that.
So I hear two key things for me, accountability, the importance of NGOs in establishing and supporting accountability, and also how those little insights can have such big impact when NGOs do it right. Any strategies for future politicians?
Well, like I had mentioned that I was appointed by His Majesty the King. But I have seen women vying for political positions. The first thing is that we need, as women, to support each other. Because if it's time for nomination and then I am given the chance to nominate, why would I say Sipho Dlamini when there is Lwazi Zwane? I think we need there is that campaign, vote for a woman, but it looks like it does not have the magnitude that it should have, such that we still need to educate, like in church, you are preached to until you repent.
We love it. Support, support, support. In the vein of talking about NGOs, Bongegile, in addition to your role at ENPC, you also lead an NGO dedicated to supporting women in STEM, as you shared when you introduced yourself. How have you seen the impact of your work and how it's helping women in Eswatini break these barriers, contribute to the growth that we're seeing in closing the gender divide?
Thank you very much for that question. It gave me time to actually gloat about our organization, which is quite good. Thank you, stand it back. So Women in Engineering was established officially in 2018, but we started working in 2017 through the help of the US Embassy, the local one. And we started off with just about 10 women who identified quite a number of gaps in the STEM fields, whereby, one, there was very few of us. Secondly, we were not really welcomed into the industry, and so we had similar challenges. And then we took it upon ourselves to say, okay, we might not necessarily change the whole world, but we can actually start with Eswatini. And hence, it was developed. And since then, our programs have focused on starting them while they are still young. So we focus on high school girls, where we use our own personal stories to educate them about the different careers in STEM, and also just to present ourselves as role model. I think it was mentioned earlier on that there's a need to have role models that can inspire you, because I believe that if you can sit, there's high chances that you can believe it and then you can become it. And so therefore we've used our stories to actually educate on STEM. And also we've created a community where women in STEM can connect, can network. The senator spoke about women supporting each other. So we run a program called At Network, where annually we have a networking platform for women to come together and then talk about different challenges that affect us even in the workplace. Just last year, our networking event was focused on entrepreneurship, even in the STEM field, because we're seeing that there's a high unemployment rate, and therefore we get qualified as professionals, but we don't have jobs. But how can we actually use our skills to develop entrepreneurship activities, knowing that STEM cuts across all industries? And so we then also use that platform to connect university students who are starting towards a STEM career to get in touch with a mentor, a coach, or someone that they can learn from. And it also provides a platform for career development and knowledge sharing. To date, we've managed to have about 100 people who've benefited from such a platform where they've either gotten a job or they were helped in terms of growing their career or even just were able to get a mentor. And then we have a program for those at university level where we have sessions with them that focus on preparing them for the workplace. So those sessions focus on developing their soft skills. You definitely might know as a woman in tech that most of the STEM careers are very technical. Even when you're studying at university, it's a very technical field. But then when they then ask you to give a presentation, it's a whole different story. So we try to blend the technical skill with the soft skills so that by the time they get to the workplace, they are well developed and they can actually give a presentation and share their skills. And with all that said, so we've managed to reach about 150,000 high school learners. And just recently, we have targeted at primary school learners where we have identified them to be potential women in STEM, and we've given them opportunities to actually use their creative skills to write about what are the solutions that they can address in their communities, but using their STEM superpower. So we do that through the essay writing competition that we hold on an annual basis. And I believe all these has really helped to, one, help the country to identify the need to have more women in STEM. Because there's definitely a shortage, but also just to even have more women grow in the field, becoming leaders and eventually becoming role models.
One of the things that is a big concern in AI, in artificial intelligence, is this notion of bias. And one of the conversations that we have as practitioners is how to make sure that we don't create models that will impact society and the real world that are actually biased for or against any other human being. And so I'd like to just hear your thoughts, because sometimes people think or maybe if bias is in your favor, you tend not to see it, right? And so what is kind of a real world impact that you see from this disparity that we have of gender in STEM, in engineering maybe specifically? Do you know any of our ratios, rough estimates of what it looks like male to female in engineering in Eswatini? And what do you think that impacts, how do you think it impacts our lived experience?
So globally, the statistics show that we have just over 30% females in STEM globally. So STEM as a whole. So we have very few women in STEM. So it's a global issue that we all need to work together to address. And talking about technologies, for instance, as we develop technologies, you find that some of them don't really cater for women. However, there's a few technologies that have been developed recently that actually support women. For instance, there's our modern cars. You don't necessarily have to have your key and then you put it on the ignition to start the car. But now some of them use sensors where as long as you have your key close by, it can actually open. And for me, I thought of the women who, when they go shopping, they have their hands full. So it's going to end. Also, they have a baby as well that they're carrying. So it then provides them convenience to actually open the car without actually having to offload everything that she's doing. So that speaks to addressing some of the challenges that women have, where we can actually develop technologies that will help women to make their work as a mother or as an employee much better. And I spoke about earlier about some of the work environments that unfortunately still haven't catered for the specific needs of women. Without going much into detail, definitely women and men have different needs, even in the workplace itself. And so I think it's important that we actually cater. Women are mothers, So they don't only just come to work, but they also need to think about how are they going to get their kids to school, how are they going to bring them back. And so I really appreciate some of the companies now, they've actually implemented an aftercare center where, as mothers, you can pick up your child from school during your lunchtime, and then there's a place in your workplace, and there's someone who's been hired to take care of those kids. So now it helps you to not only just be worried about that child, but you can actually focus completely on your work, and then after work you can then go home with your child. So these are the small things, but they make a big impact.
Absolutely. And the conversation today is about creating an impact on the lived experience of everyone. So thank you very much for those contributions, ladies. Our conversation continues. We're going to take a short break. You're going to be glad you stayed. Join us when we come back. Welcome back. We promised it would be a short break, and we are thrilled to be continuing with the conversation. So when I started, I mentioned that I asked ChatGPT what's on the minds of women globally. Amongst them, lack of leadership opportunities, we've spoken to that, work-life balance and motherhood, unplanned, came through just as we were going into our break. Bias and stereotypes, we've tackled that as well. And when you go to ChatGPT, you'll see the rest. But the next one is a big one, an important one. And it sits on the shoulders of Kosi. Kosi, you're a woman in executive leadership. You're in the health sector. Firstly, let's talk, what strategies do you think you have employed, consciously or unconsciously, that have helped you thrive in your role, and thrive you do, as a traditionally male-dominated space? And maybe just tell us more about the role of Baylor Clinic in driving Eswatini's economy, because I want to get to your views around why gender representation at the top is so crucial. So a little bit about Baylor, some of the strategies that you've employed to get to where you are.
Thank you very much, Linda. So I'll start off by saying what I like about the professional environment is that we go through some sort of an assessment, whether in an interview or you're selected, as per my senator here, but someone was confident in selecting you. That confidence, you need to bring it to the game. You need to bring your confidence to the game because someone trusted you to do that job. You qualified, so many people qualified perhaps, and they went through the interview, but they selected you for a purpose. So that particular purpose, I believe, is based on trust. It is also based on their confidence levels in you. So you ought to, in a leadership position, be confident. And you need to, have the same energy. So that has, made me thrive in the position. So my confidence levels, and also just the knowledge and the skills that I'm bringing, to the table. I am in a space where I said I'm a nurse. I have my MBA, but I'm also leading very qualified professors, doctors, scientists, and you name it, in the world of, medicine, because we are dealing with medicine. We are an institution that is helping to, have positive outcomes for children living with HIV and TB. We do a lot of research. We do a lot of clinical trials. Clinical trials, meaning we want to test that particular drug that is not, in the shop to say, would it work? Would it have a positive outcome? We want to have some diagnostic tools that are, advanced, like, for instance, for TB, we know the way you are testing TB, but for children, we know that they cannot produce, that sample. So we want to have some other elements of testing if a child has TB from birth, by the way, if a child has TB or not, so that we have, a positive outcomes. So I'm leading a group of scientists, and I would say that we have a 50-50 balance at my work in terms of gender. And also, for me, it has been very important to be consistent, in my work, consistent in implementing our policies. Policies should also include, gender diversity and gender equality, but consistency always helps so that people are not seeing that you may have been biased here or there, but, naturally, you just need as a leader to be consistent in your work. And also issues of feedback. Feedback has helped me a lot. Receiving and giving feedback is helping me a lot. And usually when we're talking about feedback, we're talking about positive feedback. Negative feedback is very good. Negative feedback is very good. It helps you to have future insights and also to manage situations as they come. So I tell people that leadership positions are challenge after challenge after challenge. So every day, literally, you plan your day. It is not so. Just literally, you have a to-do. I have my diary. I'm saying to-do on Wednesday, the 26th. I know that something comes up. Literally, something comes up. Whether an HR issue, I'm glad Q is here, whether an HR issue that has not been resolved by the human capital team, or some sort of a patient that is immediately dying and they need my assistance at that point to say, what is the next level? So those things, when you are there for your team, when you're there, especially for also everyone, and they see that you're consistent, you're not choosing or being biased to say this is a woman, this is a male, for me, it helps me a lot. And as Baylor in the health space, you asked a question about what we are, bringing to the economy. So as Baylor, we are in the health sector space. We want to see the population healthy, obviously. As much as we are working with children and adolescents, we are also working with adults. And we believe that a healthy employee is also increased productivity. So for us, we are very much concerned with people's well-being, with people's mental health being, and mental health being a bigger issue right now, because we're coming from COVID and people have issues. We have, discovered that there is a lot of build-up from people from COVID, and people, are coming up to say that they have those issues. And what you also want to know is within our programs, we have a particular program where we are building confidence of women to be scientists and clinical trial leaders, because that space has been taken by also men a lot, but we are also seeing women to, want to go into that space. So we sponsor some women on clinical trials, and they go for their PhD studies in other countries. But guess what? When we have that opportunity and post it, no one wants it. They're like, oh. The women are like, because we are very particular to say this is for females. And it has its own particular name, such that men are not able to apply. But the women shy away, and we encourage them to say, apply. So for two of our PhD candidates, we have been encouraging them to apply. They haven't been confident, but they eventually applied and they won the scholarship. One is in Houston, the other is in Cape Town, and they're very successful. And they're doing their PhDs. So I understand what you say about STEM, and I think at some point we just need to be supportive and also to build that confidence amongst women to say you can do it as much as he can do it. You can also do it as a human being. So yeah, that is what we do at Beta.
Q, we're coming to you because we need help. We need help with picking up, this morale, this self-belief, and the policies, that encourage that morale. But just before we come to you, you spoke about ensuring consistency and the gender balance in your team, which we are so delighted to hear. The number one thing ChatGPT says, women want to know why we still have pay inequality. We cannot run away from that. That's not even the elephant in the room. It is, it's a big bugbear for us. So without, having you speak for Eswatini as a whole or all organizations, what can you share around what's worked or your aspirations around having pay equality just be the norm and the standard and be effected across industries?
So the best practices would be to have a standard pay scale. I know that's cliche, and perhaps human capital Lydia would tell you that it's there most of the time. I know pay inequalities usually exist. So it's there most of the time. Not that organizations do not have standard pay scales, but at some point, I do not know, there are factors that are then centered around who that particular individual is. And unfortunately, as women, we become those vectors as well. To say you are a woman, therefore you have a salary matching at the same level as someone who's doing a similar job and a man. But we encourage within the organizations to say, have a standard pay scale, let the management and board be accountable, and let us look into auditing and ensuring that people are getting the salaries that they deserve, at least at the category where they should be put. And I'm waiting for Q to tell us how they then decide that I am not deserving as much as a man is.
Thank you for sharing those insights. So Q, we are indeed with you. You know where we're going, but let's maybe first take a step back, right? This idea of diversity, the reason International Women's Day exists, the reason there are campaigns across organizations, across industries, is because there is an impact of having gender diversity in general. You see that there's direct impact when organizations have diverse workforces. What is some of that impact can you share where you've seen, be it from global best practice or from your own experience?
Okay, thank you, Mangweni, for that question. As I was thinking about this question, the first thing that came into my mind was a home setup. You call it a home because there's a mother and there's a father. There's these two genders coexisting and making this place a home where it's conducive for everyone, the kids, to grow and to thrive, right? So take that to the workplace as well. So in a leadership, in a executive table or meeting, if I can put it like that, you need that mix of genders as well in order to come up with decisions that will be that will improve the organization, that will make the organization succeed. Like I said, if there's only a father or there's a male in the home, that's called a house. It's not a home, because it's the woman who will make it a home, by bringing that warmth, those emotions, that nurturing of souls, We need that in the business as well for it to thrive. Because in a business, it's about people, either as employees or as customers, but business is about people. That's all you need. You need to know how to manage people who are employees. You need to know how to manage people who are customers. So in that play that is happening, you need both genders, the masculine and the feminine, to strike that balance in terms of decision making. Because a male thinks, which part of their brain do they use, by the way? So they think in a certain way that a woman will neutralize such that the decisions that are made in the business place, when there's a mix of these genders in the decision making table, it will be decisions that will enhance and probably make the organization to thrive. I think that will be my contribution to this, to that question.
Emotions are human, and businesses are people. That it's so simple and so profound. You've explained that really well. So then, as we walk through taking that perspective, how do we end up at a gender pay gap? And I'm less interested in the history. How are we accelerating? We're here today talking about accelerating growth. So how do we accelerate the road to closing that divide?
Actually, I don't have an answer to that, but what I've noticed, what causes that is that when a woman is being appointed into a leadership position, there seems to be a tendency to say that, let's start her from here so that we can see whether she can do the notions that we can't give her everything until she proves herself that she's worthy of the pay, So you get in there because they said, no, just place her here so that we can see whether she can do the job or not. But once she's inside and she's thriving and doing the job, that conversation is never then reopened to say that, hey, this person has proven herself to say that they can do the job. They're actually delivering the results. So I think it will have to be a decision that's made at the top to say that whoever we are hiring, or whether it's a woman or a man, we just need to make sure that we put them where they deserve in terms of the pay. Yeah.
What role do you think the confidence that Kosi spoke about plays in those salary negotiations? Because in a way, each of you has contributed to the current view, which is that if we approach all these roles confidently, which we can because we are capable and qualified, what then is missing? I mean, you also see it in how few CEOs, if you just kind of look around Eswatini and major organizations, you also just see that in how few CEOs are women. Some sectors doing better than others, but what's the role of confidence in salary negotiation? And maybe, what we need in order to see more CEOs? Is it just confidence, or is there something more?
That's precisely that. I think in my answer, I forgot to mention that ladies or females, they tend to, you give them an offer, they accept at a go. They're not confident enough to come back and say, you know what, I think I'm worth more than that because of reason A, B, C, and D. Whereas when it comes to our male counterparts, I tell you, you'll write 2, 3 offer letters because this person is still negotiating. You give them the second offer and they'll be saying, oh, actually, I forgot to mention that there's this and this and that I think you should also consider in that offer. As women, I think it's like when we get the offer, we like, amen, hallelujah. It's like someone has made me a favor to give me this offer. So we don't find, I don't know, I think we're not confident enough to say that I know my worth. What is in this paper is not what I'm worth. So I'm going to go back and tell this person, "Good, you know what, actually I think I'm worth more than this because of A, B, C, and D. So please, may you revise my offer?" Because there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the manner of approach, how you do it, and the reasons behind it. Because you need to convince the person who's making the offer, which is usually us, the actual people. You need to convince me to say that there is value in this person and I need to pay, because we pay for the value that you are bringing. So you must show me before you even come that you are worth what you say you deserve.
I knew we wouldn't have enough time, but if we take nothing away from today's conversation, it's that negotiations result in not just one revisiting of an offer. She said 2 or even 3. So I think that's going to be our motivation for the next Blue Table Talk. We have unfortunately run out of time. I can barely believe it. We were just scratching the surface. Can I ask you ladies to help us close out with 30 seconds, maybe even 15, words of advice, encouragement to everyone watching on our platforms. Senator Stuki, can I start with you? 10 seconds.
Thank you, Mangweni. What I'd like to say to the women out there, give it your best. And quitting is not an option. And remember, when you see a successful man, there's that idiom, behind a successful man, there is a woman. So go for it, girls.
Go for it, never give up. Thank you. Kosi?
I'd say to the women, you're smart, you're very capable. The sky is the limit. Go for it.
Go for
Shoot
it.
the sky.
The sky is the limit. Love it. Thank you very much. Bongagile?
I would actually give a message to the men
Oh.
to say that they are equally as important in actually driving the gender equity agenda. So we are definitely requesting them to actually help in that regard. And also just a message to organizations as well, that I think it's time we stop on the talk and actually put more actions and accelerate gender equity and ensure that women and males are thriving equally without any gender stereotypes. Thank you.
A powerful word to the gentlemen we know are also online. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please be putting them in all of the comment sections. Q, you're closing 15 seconds.
Okay, thank you, Mangwen. My closing will be to our ladies or women. Before you are a woman, you are human. I think for me, that's what is profound. We are all human. If you are human, you can do anything any other human do, whether despite the gender and all that. So let's not be limited by the fact that we've got wombs, because that's the only differentiator between us and male and women. We are humans. We can do anything that a male counterpart can do.
I could not have closed it any better. We are human, you are worthy, you are capable. It has been an absolute honor, an absolute privilege for me to be sharing the stage with you ladies. Thank you so much. And an absolute privilege for Standard Bank for you to honor our invitation to the Blue Table Talks. You've given us lots to discuss, lots to think about. I hope and trust our comment sections are busy. We will look to respond to those as is feasible. We have absolutely enjoyed being with you this evening. Thank you again for your patience with our late start. We know and trust it was valuable, rich conversation, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the next edition of Blue Table Talks.